Hello friends, welcome to Shiksharthi. In this video, we shall again be doing something about the skill building of English as a language. So, referring to my earlier video on this, we had talked about the first step towards language building, and especially when we talk about English as a language, is the knowledge of words. So then we had talked about the knowledge of words, we talked about vocabulary, etc. Now in this session, we'll be talking about the other essential ingredients for language building. And that also should be targeted in a very interesting manner. I mean, for example, I am advising you to do all these things. Maybe our subsequent videos will be talking about each of them individually. So when I talk about each of them, we'll be talking about roots, prefixes, suffixes individually or thereon. So we were talking about grammar. So now when we are talking about grammar, and if we were to experience how to understand the meaning of the word grammar, we can start from here itself. So the word grammar has a gram in it, G-R-A-M. So gram is the root word, and even if I do not know the exact meaning of the word, but if I know the root word being used in that word, can I figure out the meaning of the word being used at least? If not more? Yes, I can. So, what is the meaning of the word gram? The meaning of the word gram here is writing. And what does writing use? Writing uses words. And what is the role of grammar? The role of grammar here is to give a logical connect between two or more words. And how does it give? So if I talk about, so we had talked about what is the basic difference between a phrase, clause and a sentence is the role of grammar. Then how is a sentence formed? If I talk about sentence can be formed in two ways. So if I talk about the semantics of a sentence or I talk about the structure of a sentence, even if before I talk about the semantics and the structure of a sentence, how is a sentence formed? So for a sentence to be formed, you require a subject and a predicate, and that two should be used, both of them should be used in such a way so that it conveys a complete meaning, which phrases are unable to convey, because phrases may at most have a predicate in them. At most they may have a predicate in them. So grammar tells you all about what is a subject, what is a predicate, and how to use them effectively. Okay. Then something which is very important and is a part of grammar only are parts of speech. Now what are parts of speech? Speech is when you write something and then you speak something. You may even speak without writing. So parts of speech are, if I say that this is a word, if I use a sentence, let's say I form a sentence, this is a word, and I want to know which part of speech is this word this. So then, what are parts of speech? Nouns, pronouns, adjectives, verbs, adverbs, prepositions, conjunctions, interjections, and last but not the least, even articles. Though they may not come under the head of parts of speech, but they are used the time when a sentence is formed. Right? So we need to have an in-depth knowledge about these things, then only we can generate an effective, let's say, connection between the words, and then the communication becomes more effective. Please mind it. The way the words are used, I mean, either we bungle with the words or we play with the words or we use the words properly, it is then only the meanings of those words in the form of sentences gets conveyed properly. Right, then you will come to know what is the difference between a statement and a sentence, and there are many more things will be you'll come to know as you grow up with respect to a language. Then the next thing which is very important is whenever you are reading very rich passages, maybe you're reading excerpts or you're having some extracts or you're doing some eclectic reading. In that case, these figures of speech are very important. So one is parts of speech, which will give you a logical connect between words. Once the logic has been established between the words, then I can always enrich my usage further. I mean, the same thing can be conveyed in a better manner. For example, if I use a sentence, let us say I have already lost my father, and if I say my father is, let's say I lose my father and I say my father is dead. This is one way of putting it as, I mean, I'm describing a situation wherein my father is dead. The same sentence can be used in a better manner. And how can I use the same sentence in a better manner? My father is no more. So once I'm able to establish a logical connect between the words, then dependent on the situation, I can always garnish my usage. I can always embellish my usage. Yeah. So now what is garnishments? I can use the words in such a way depending on the situation around me. So the same thing can be said more politely. So the moment I say my father is no more, I'm conveying the same information in a refined manner, in a subtle manner. So which falls under the category of, let's say, a euphemism. So what is a euphemism? Euphemism is that figure of speech in which we present the same thing in a refined manner or a better manner dependent on the situation or the circumstance in which we are into. Similarly, I mean, just to take some more examples here, though this is just an informative session wherein we are not going to discuss about things in detail. It just tells you the essential ingredients which are required to build up your skills with respect to English as a language. Okay, so now when I talk about the word simile, and if I have to use vocabulary here to understand the meaning of the word simile, I hope you would have heard a word like similar. So similar means what? Same. So simile gives a comparison between two things explicitly. For example, as cool as a cucumber, as fierce as a lion. Yeah, something of this sort. Similarly, the same thing, metaphor gives you it's an implied form of simile. So as discussed earlier, we will not be talking about things in detail. This is just an informative session which is aimed at telling you how to build up your skills gradually with respect to English, and believe me, it can be done easily and slowly, or let's say slowly but easily. Okay, now the next question which arises here is, okay, I need to target what? So just to give you a snapshot of both the sessions, I need to target what? I need to target vocabulary. I need to target grammar. When I say grammar, I am basically interested in all these things, parts of speech. Once I have done vocabulary and grammar, okay, I know now how to use the words effectively. What next? Okay, dependent on, in a situation. Now I'm supposed to apply this. So figure of speech makes you apply things. So we are basically talking about basics. We have already talked about. We are talking about various concepts being discussed, then taken to the application stage. So where will we be using figures of speech? When you are reading a passage. So all these things which we have talked about, these are the applications of all these things that you'll be doing here. And believe me, as I always say, you talk about any subject, whether it is science, maths, or any other subject like social studies, etc. Maybe they were never difficult, but they became difficult because of the language which is being used. Maybe words like isotherm, isobar, isotopes. It becomes easier to understand. These are some terms which are used in chemistry. It becomes easier had I known the prefixes, suffixes and the roots being used. Right? So coming back to the final stage, this entire skill building that you would have done with respect to English, where will we use it? So maybe in summary writing, in reading comprehension, para jumbles, para completion, para summary, close text, fill in the blanks, when you're asked to find out the synonyms and antonyms. Right? Or maybe there is a topic like critical reasoning. Maybe what is the difference between a fact, inference and a judgment? Maybe in Venn diagrams, in deductive logic. So when I say deductive logic, I'm basically talking about syllogisms. Right? Or logical connectives. Now what are logical connectives? They are using conditionals. What are conditionals? If and then, either or. Whenever A, then B. right? These are some conditions. Only if. Or when you're talking about arguments, conclusions, or you're talking about proverbs, you're talking about idioms, you're talking about maxims, adages, you're talking about universal truths. Or as we talked about earlier, if I'm reading a passage, or there is an extract, there is an excerpt, or I'm doing some eclectic reading. Eclectic is chosen few. When you choose something from somewhere, chosen few. So I hope I have given you a roadmap of how to target English as a language, and believe me, all of us, we can do it with the help of these ingredients, the ingredients which we have already discussed. So all the best. Please do not forget to like, share and subscribe to our channel. If you have already done so, please turn on the bell icon so that you start receiving further updates. Thank you so much. Until next time we meet, goodbye.